Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Om Adyaye Namaha. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Now, this is detailed report about Saturn in Pisces transit, which will be starting on March 29th for roughly 2.5 years. In this video, I'm going to do a breakdown of the transit in each pada. Each nakshatra has its own subdivisions and padas, and these padas relate to where it goes into the D9 chart. So it's very important to understand this, that the whole transit of Saturn is not the same. And to say it's all the same would be incorrect. We have to look at each section and what it's going to do. So I'm going to break that down with dates and what has happened before and what we will see again in general. So here we go. Saturn is going into Pisces, and that means that you're going on your own path into the unknown. This can be in spiritual matters as well, as many will choose spirituality in isolated settings rather than groups, and maybe more spirituality than religion. Many will want to work in isolation or just prefer the company of themselves. This is an ending. This is the sacrifices that we must make before a new beginning, what we must let go of in the matters of government and the masses, groups, alliances, reevaluating our hopes and wishes. Things must end that are outdated and no longer work. It's time to self-reflect, because this is the latter part of this 30-year cycle. When Saturn enters Aries, this will begin a new cycle, but it will be in an enemy sign. So it'll take some time to get used to this way of being, growing pains, and we must make mistakes in the beginning in order to learn how to live in a new way. Now, there's a lot of firsts that come with Saturn in Aries. The first man to walk on the moon, but personally, I do not believe that actually happened, but this is just an example. The first heart transplant and new laws occurred, etc. So that's just an example. Transiting Saturn right now is in the 3rd house of the US chart, and it's making its 8th aspect on to the natal Saturn in Virgo in its chart. It's transforming its reputation through its trade and neighboring countries. It's also interesting to note that transiting Saturn right now is almost at the exact degree when we had the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. Also, on October 4th in 1995, Hurricane Opal hit Florida and was recorded at 115 miles per hour when Saturn was retrograde at 24 degrees in Aquarius. So there are some major things that can happen during this month before Saturn even goes into Pisces, is what I'm saying. Also, the major things that occurred was there was 2 leaders that died in 1968 when we had both Saturn and Rahu in Pisces, which was Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy. Now, if this were to happen again, it would be around April 8th of this year. And we could see, as I predicted, an ending in a leader which could die or being replaced. So March 29th is when Saturn goes into Pisces. Now, I'm only going to break this down for this year, and then I'll make another video for next year. March 29th is when Saturn goes into Pisces. So on March 29th until April 27th, March 29th will be when we have the eclipse. I'll have an entire video about this. But we can see weather events are very likely, very extreme weather events. Issues in local government as well. This is related to the homelands in Canada and an ending. The US, this is its homelands and its shared resources. The US has Rahu and Mercury natally in Cancer, so it wants to devour the resources of the world naturally, and it's never satisfied. And it is also in the Rahu and Mercury dasha. This will show the truth and reality will set in terms of loss and our emotions. We must become more practical. The mind can feel limited at this time, very emotional, and can affect mothers, the housing industry, water disasters, and inner emotions. The reason I say this is because this goes into Cancer Navamsha, So Saturn and the moon, it can be very extremely dangerous. People can be persecuted or become the persecutor. Remember, Saturn is the root chakra. So it's bringing up all the elements from the root chakra. Fear, anxiety, fear of loss, all of these things can pop up. So there's a lot that's going to be affecting the mentality of people. Then from April 27th till June 7th, it will be in Uttara Bhadrapada, the first pada. So on March 29th, it's going to be in Purva Bhadrapada, which is a huge transformation in the fourth pada, which is actually the very, very dangerous. Lots of diabolical events can happen. Lots of mass murders, genocide, crime, things like that will definitely happen in that pada. Then Saturn goes into Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, which is the back part of the funeral cause. This is our exit from this world. This is endings. This is spiritual transformation as well. This is sadhana. So you can use this to awaken yourself. Many people will have huge awakenings because of this. But this is in the first pada, in the Leo Navamsha. So there's clashes with leaders and the masses at this time. And we'll have Saturn and Rahu and Venus conjunct here. And Mercury will also be in Pisces conjunct by sign. Mars is making a ninth aspect onto them in Cancer, creating anger. The moon and Mars will be making a mutual exchange, making Mars very strong. Leaders are pushing back on trade as the moon is in Ashwini on this particular day. Health matters, new things that have been put into place, and a protest can happen. This will affect the homelands of the US in relation to higher learning, laws, science, foreign nations, money and trade. Canada, this is the education, the mentality of the leaders, entertainment, the stock market, stock exchange, children and sports. Jupiter will be in Taurus, so these protests are over resources and money. Then on June 7th until August 17th, Saturn will go into Uttara Bhadrapada, the second pada, which is ruled by Virgo. So this is the planning, analytical side. This is health matters. This is civil servants. The reputation and the president, celebrities of the United States will come into play. Canada, this is affecting the civil servants, health matters, war and conflicts. Mars will be conjunct Ketu at this time in Leo and make an eighth aspect onto Saturn. This is dangerous times, aggression towards leaders, fires, accidents, heat wave, terrorist plots, or leaders dying can happen. From June 13th to August 12th, Jupiter is in Ardhara Nakshatra. Major weather disasters, water, events of sorrow can happen. The US, that's their business partnerships and the country itself. Canada and its neighbors. Then Saturn will retrograde into Uttara Bhadrapada, into the first pada again, which is Leo, like I said. So we're going to be reviewing what happened in April 27th to June 7th, which is about the leaders and the masses clashing. Saturn and Mars will be making an opposition and major conflict in the US in the matters of shared resources, trade, stock market, wealth, insurance, social security, and a risk of natural disasters. Canada, this is a conflict in the homelands involving an ending and in government possibly. Then it will retrograde into Purva Bhadrapada, fourth pada again. So this is very dangerous again. This could be a lot of wisdom or a lot of confusion. Health issues or diseases can pop up. Reviewing what happened from March 29th to April 27th. The homelands in a transformation in hidden resources, money, a risk of natural disasters. Just to give you an idea of some things that happened when Saturn was in Pisces. In 1995, we had a British woman who completed a solo sail nonstop around the world. So sailing and boating solo around the world in the ocean, especially in the ocean, that is Saturn and Pisces. So we can see a lot more of that. On June 29th, there was a structure failure in Seoul, Korea, and 500 people were killed. So old buildings collapsing, old things dying out. On June 6th in 1995, there was the Bosnian War, and 8,000 Bosnian Muslims were killed. This genocide was the worst mass killing in Europe since World War II. Genocides, mass killings, like I said, crime, especially when it's in Purva Bhadrapada. On July 25th in France, a bomb was detonated on the Paris metro. Accidents and crimes involving trains and planes. August 6th, UK legislation goes into effect that allows pubs to remain open through Sunday for the first time, and regulations over liquor and drinking. August 13th in 1995, there was a mountain climber that dies while descending the summit of K2. Saturn is the lord of Capricorn, which is mountains, and Pisces is death. So we can see more of those. The movie Trainspotting was very big in 1995. Movies and entertainment about trains, governments, airplanes, space, planets, and pictures of the stars and planets can come, even though they're CGI. But overdoses, drugs, diseases, crime, and a lack of stopping these. Also suicides. Now, on March 20th in 1995, the British government admits that humans can catch mad cow disease. Now, this is when we had Mars, Saturn, Sun, Moon, K2 in Pisces. So that's why I really do believe that there will be some kind of disease or health issue that will come up. And that probably is like bird flu or mad cow disease. Also, in 1996, there was a fatal disease that caused dementia. So there could be a lot to do with mental health. A bridge collapsed as well. So themes around bridges and collapsing. April 30th, petroleum prices were the highest in the US in 5 years. Oil prices going up. Dead bodies found in waters. There were 600 people killed in Bangladesh with a severe thunderstorm and tornado, major tornadoes, major hurricanes. Even a tsunami is possible. There was a plane from New York to Paris that exploded during a Saturn K2 conjunction. We're going to have Saturn Rahu. This is very possible again. Osama bin Laden declared war on the United States. So warlike activities with the US or a terrorist attack are very possible, especially the way the US is acting right now towards other countries. Also, during the last, I think it was in 96 or 95, Tupac was shot. So famous rappers dying, but these are actors. A lot of the things that you see, they're not actually dying. And I know that's going to blow some people's minds. They won't believe that. But as someone who's been in the entertainment industry, I could tell you that everybody is acting. There were asylums that were closed. So themes around mental health, endings. And March 16th, 1968, there was the My Lao massacre, the most controversial incidents of the Vietnam War, and American soldiers killed 400 unarmed Vietnamese citizens. So massacres and cult leaders can happen. Now, when there was many planets in Pisces, including Saturn and Rahu, there was the death of 2 pilots who were going to space. Deaths in space are very, very likely. Major strikes and protests can include also insanitation, like in 1968. And then, like I said, Martin Luther King died, which caused major riots around the US. And there was a lot of themes about rights, people wanting their rights back. And I could see that happening now, as many people in America feel like they're losing their rights. There was also a major riot that happened at a university in Paris, and strikes after the riots, many strikes, many riots, that threatened the French economy. Because this is an ending, so things are transforming so we can start anew again, especially when Saturn and Rahu conjunct exact. But we're feeling this already. Deaths at sea and political crisis and protest for rights and freedom. So that's just a little bit about what I see with this Saturn in Pisces transit. But remember, the biggest thing is this is your enlightenment. This is your time to enlighten yourself. I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.